What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'll be talking about a film that's going to be easily seen as incredibly controversial and even offensive when it's released in about a week's time. It's a conservative take on the famous Supreme Court case that legalized abortion. It's Roe v. Wade. The first real film following the story of Roe v. Wade portrays the landmark case in U.S. history as a result of a conspiracy orchestrated by left-wing fanatics and Ku Klux Klan sympathizers that supposedly lied and manipulated the system to get what they want, which of course is a nation full of evil, deranged, but legal baby killers. First of all, I want to thank the director, Nick Loeb, who also played one of the lead characters in the film, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, for actually reaching out to me in order to provide an honest review of his movie. I made sure to let him know that I would review his film, but I have also been a little bit harsher on Christian or conservative films in the past, though I have enjoyed a good handful of them too. All I can offer is my honest opinion. He said, wonderful. Here we are. Some of my viewers know this about me, most don't, but I have a college degree in criminal justice, and a big part of my degree was learning about a ton of landmark cases in our history, including, of course, Roe v. Wade, which was a huge turning point in our history, and this film was created to maybe give the viewer a little bit more insight into how that vote came to be, and it's told through a conservative perspective. You know, I think one of the things that's absolutely fascinating about this film is that I can't think of a single movie that covered this case, not a single one, which I find kind of nuts since it was just so big of a case. But then again, we don't see a lot of films on the abortion topic, and it's not hard to understand why. Filmmakers make movies to entertain a wide audience, and abortion is one of the biggest dividing topics out there, meaning whether you make the film from a pro-choice or pro-life perspective is completely irrelevant. No matter what, you're going to alienate half of your prospective viewers. So if you're in the pro-life group of individuals, you might actually really enjoy what this film is going for. If you aren't, you're going to hate it. I promise to approach this film as technical and non-political as possible, since a political belief can really cloud your ability to notice if a film actually does something well. And there's a couple of major things that I'd like to point out. First, while you can sort of tell the budget wasn't massive, Wikipedia says something like under $7 million, I have to give it props to the production design, specifically when it comes down to the wardrobe. This obviously takes place in the 70s, so one of the most important things to get right is wardrobe. I think for the most part, that works here, especially the dresses that the women wear at times, and there was also kind of an overall filter that gave off the vibe, you know, that it's not 2021. Another thing that impressed me here was the casting, especially with the Supreme Court justices. Jon Voight, I'm not sure how I feel about him as a man, but I have enjoyed him many, many times in the past, like in Enemy of the State, National Treasure, and even Holes, Mr. Sir. The film also has the dad from Psych, Corbin Burnson, Jamie Kennedy, Robert Davi, Wade Williams, who I know from Prison Break, John Schneider, who is one of my favorite actors in Smallville, Joey Lawrence. I mean, the entire cast of this film truly is impressive. I don't know if any of them really feel like they're born to play the roles or anything, but I can easily see many of them being the drive for people to go and see the film in the first place. But all of these interesting things don't really save the film from bias. It's all just, you know, interesting things from a technical perspective. But this entire film affects your bias. The whole thing. You can't escape it. Again, if you're pro-life, you might like it. If you're pro-choice, you will not find a more vile or offensive piece of anti-abortion propaganda out there. I have no idea how accurate this is, but apparently the actors weren't shown the entire script during production, but when they got their hands on it, they dropped out really fast. They had no idea what they were involved in. Talk about propaganda. Nick, man, you've gone on record saying you tried to portray both sides of the argument, and sure, time was given to both the pro-choice and pro-life sides. But it's told through the veil of somebody who sees pro-choicers as Satan's army. They're, you know, the bad guys, so to speak. The entire atmosphere, when they show up on screen, is pretty darn menacing. Overbearingly so. And the pro-lifers are always seen with that soft, acoustic, innocent music, as they're all these angelic do-gooders, so to speak, and with any good pro-life persuasion essay, you had to use the smoking gun of the argument and went all out with shots of unnecessary gore. Here's the thing. Abortion is not fun. It's not pretty. It's not supposed to be. Pro-choice does not mean pro-abortion. It's also not supposed to be pretty. Like I said, heck, pregnancy, giving birth. That's also rather gory. I mean, have you even seen a placenta come out of a woman's body? I have. I thought it was a liver, and I was appalled as to why the doctors and the nurses were taking that out of my wife's body. It was insane! The website for this film has a fact check list of things that did and did not happen in real life, and while I went through the list, I don't think any of it's really that important. I never questioned what happened. That's all well documented. I just didn't see it as menacing or malicious. One, politics are crooked with literally everything that they do. I expect nothing less. But two, when these politicians are going all out to try to sway the vote to pro-choice, I didn't see that as deceit or evil. I saw that as a vigilante act of somebody trying to do what's right for somebody other than themselves. Another thing, there is so much unnecessary exposition in this film. The director narrates everything, sometimes for no reason. Like you see the Supreme Court justices voting on the case, it's fine. And then the director narrates it by saying, and that's how they voted. I know, man. I'm watching the movie. I saw him do it, and this happens constantly. And I felt like I was being talked down to, like I was just too dumb to understand the details of the scene. Let the scene flow organically, tell the story, but don't go overboard. And this is the last thing that I have to say, but probably the most important. Any film on Roe v. Wade, or abortion at all, should only be written and directed by a female, not a conservative male. That's the last thing a story like this needs, and that's exactly what we have in Roe v. Wade. Even though I was born and spent half my life as a pro-lifer, I changed once I stopped thinking about myself. And I've come a long way, but no matter how far I go, from now until the day that I die, I will never be able to understand this topic as much as a woman would. Which is why a man should never direct a movie on abortion, no matter your political stance on it. So, yeah, I tried to be as professional and technical as possible, but guys, people watch film with bias. You can't get away from it. And in this case, bias affects you more than anything else would. So let's go ahead and get that score out of the way. From a technical, unbiased perspective, like I said, I thought the use of a wardrobe for the time period wasn't bad. The casting was pretty darn interesting, but you can still tell that the movie was cheaply made, and the acting is sometimes distractingly cringy, so this technical score is 54%. My bias score... Tell you what, the best thing that I can say about this score is that it's not 0%, and that's just because I thought it was interesting that they even made the movie at all, and that I had fun with some of the cast members, but the rest of the movie is one of the most offensive films I've ever seen, period. This bias score is 6%, and when we average out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 30%. 30 out of 100 possible stars, or a letter grade of F. Nick, I always have a hard time rating a film so low when a director reaches out to me, but as I said before this all began, I can only offer my honesty, and as a criminal justice major familiar with historical cases, I wanted nothing more than to see this film succeed, but it just didn't get there for me. Then again, I wasn't really in the target audience. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. What'd you think? And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with the next review, and until then, peace out!
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.